I am Henry Byansi, a practicing advocate of the High Court and a human rights lawyer and defender in the Republic of Uganda. Blackmail and extortion are two aspects that are criminalized under the laws of Uganda and also give rise to civil action once established. Specifically, blackmail is characterized under the offenses of libel and criminal defamation. When you author or publish or speak about a person things that demean his character, demean his humanity, but indeed when those things are non-existent. Libel is criminalized under Section 179 of the Penal Code Act, and on the other hand, criminal defamation is criminalized under 180. These two offenses are misdemeanors. A misdemeanor is a minor offense. A misdemeanor is one that carries a higher sentence of more than 3 years. The felony is the one that carries a less offense. Defamation attracts both the civil action and criminal action. So a party can choose to proceed criminally by reporting these matters at the police and also instituting civil action for compensation in the civil courts. Now, extortion is also criminalized under the laws of Uganda. Extortion is akin or has similar characteristics to offenses like theft and robbery, where you use undue influence or threats for purposes of obtaining money from an innocent party or from a victim. For instance, if I threaten that unless you give me money, I'll open up a civil suit or I'll open up a criminal complaint against you, that is extortion. Whether that person committed the offense or not, once money comes into the picture, that's extortion. And extortion is criminalized under the Penal Code Act, under Section 191, which gives the punishment once you are convicted for that offense of being imprisoned up to 3 years. The major reason why there is an increase in extortion is because, first, the law enforcers and the general public know that sexual and gender minorities are a small category of people whose rights are being trampled upon by the enactment of the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023. So they know that these people have nowhere to run. If you go to a police station to report a case of extortion, you are the victim, you end up being detained because they'll bring up allegations of criminal conduct against you and you end up being the victim. The other reason is misinterpretation of the law. People are taking advantage of the Anti-Homosexuality Act to oppress a small community in Uganda. And not for purposes of bringing them to justice, not for purposes of taking them to court, but for purposes of extorting money from them. Because they know they are vulnerable and the only thing they can do, buy justice. If they take you to a police station to survive being detained, you give the officer in charge some little money and they release you. Well, the authorities have done little or nothing to ensure that extortion is averted. Because these very authorities are where most of our clients run to when they face issues of extortion or blackmail, and they are not helped. You go to report a case of blackmail, they end up arresting you and detaining you for being a homosexual, for being a lesbian. So they know that these are vulnerable people who cannot do anything. Actually, most of the authorities are part and have to be blamed for the extortion and blackmail that is ongoing and affecting the sexual and gender minorities in Uganda. The basic principle of law is all laws in Uganda should be read together with other laws on a given subject. So if the Anti-Homosexuality Act is in place, why do you only consider the Anti-Homosexuality Act and deliberately put aside the Penal Code Act? Because if you are accusing person X for engaging in an act of homosexuality, why do you allow person Z to extort, yet it is also a criminal offense under the Penal Code Act? So there is no justification whatsoever at law and common sense for anyone to violate one law in the execution of a mandate given to them under a different law. Human dignity as a concept comes from the origin that we are all equal, irrespective of our color, irrespective of our race, irrespective of our sex, irrespective of our political affiliation. We are all the same. So it automatically flows that if all human beings are the same, human dignity should be respected. I do not have a right to indignify another person simply because of their gender orientation, simply because what they believe in is what I do not believe in. These rights are not a gift from the state. Human dignity is not a gift from my neighbor, it's not a gift from my father, it's not a gift from my mother, but these are inherent rights. The moment I am born and dropped onto earth, it flows that I have to be a person of dignity, I have to be respected, and I have to be accorded fair treatment for purposes of promoting my human dignity. When you talk extortion and blackmail, targeting a given section of the population, and in this case, the minority, it means you are indignifying these people, you are subjecting them to treatment that you wouldn't subject to any other person. If you asked anyone who is extorting money from the victims, and you asked for a reason why he or she is doing so, they'll give you an answer. It's because these people are sexual and gender minorities. They cannot go to a person on the street who is in tattered clothes and they say, give us money. Why? Because that one does not have anyone in society who thinks they are a minority. So once you subject these people to such treatment, it means you are breaching or violating their right to be treated fairly, their right to be treated with dignity and honor that is supposed to be accorded to every human being by virtue of them being on earth as human beings.